guys. Hi, you guys. Here we are in the studio. I want to talk to you about working from photographs and blowing those up. This is for a drawing class, and I couldn't get a big enough scale photo, so I printed two of these. They're both 8 by 10. That's what comes out of a printer if you have a printer. I don't know if you do, but you could also use a magazine, whatever, to make a painting from, or maybe you have some sort of a reproduction that's blowing up at home, and I don't care what the subject matter is. I put these two things together. This is for a drawing class. There's a view out my window in a snowstorm, and it ended up being 11 by 14. So I wanted to double it. I told my class how to scale it up, which is 2 times 11 by 14 is 22 by 28, which is exactly the size of this. Now what I did is I blocked this out on a 2-inch grid, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. Same way across the other way. I connected the lines. That tells me exactly where things go, that this ends up here. So I doubled that when I did this. So this went to 4 inches, and you can see some of the squares down here. If you're doubling, everything gets added up, the dimensions and the blocks. So this went to 4 inches, and then that way I could look at this and I could know exactly where things went. I saw that 3 down, right in the middle. You don't see this anymore, but it sits right there. So that's the way to blow it up, and that's the way to know where things go. This had particularly a lot of information in it. I can wing it too and do it that way, but for people who are beginning, it's a really sound way to change things. Now, this also, if we'd had class, we would have done this exercise, which is to take a photograph, grid it out. We'd have made a thumbnail sketch just with a pencil and, you know, value study, and then we'd make a painting from it, and we'd blow this up, and I forget what the scale was on this, but it ended up being 9 by 12. This was probably on a ½ inch, and I think it got blown up 6 times, so it ended up being 3-inch squares and 9 by 12. You don't need to know that unless you're working with something this small. You can work from a photograph. You know, if you got heirloom photographs, don't put a grid on it. It'll mess it up. But that's how you blow things up. Now this is a little more complex. But this one, we're looking at this and this. This is the study for it, which you don't really have to do. This is for a design class. This got gridded out, and I made a little value study, and then I blew it up 3 times, and I ended up with this, which is you know, just a study with black ink, acrylic, coffee, and the white of the paper, maybe a little bit of white acrylic in there too, to try to capture this. And you know, again, where the blocks are told me exactly where things went. So this bear's head, there was a line that you can still see it right there. It goes right through there, and it goes right through there. It tells you exactly where things are. And you know, it's interesting on a grid, because you know, you think that everything just sits square, but this is this blown up twice, and you can kind of see that the brow, this guy's brow, goes down like this. The hat cuts up here like this. This head tells me right where the nose goes. This tells me right where the eye goes, just by counting. And you can just kind of put the marks in. So, you know, I guess I want you to make a colored painting, but if you wanted to make black and white, it would teach you the same thing. So, you know, you can find something in a newspaper. You could change your settings from a photograph. If you've gone out and you've done landscape, if you've got a printer, print it out 8 by 10. That's the standard size. You can print it black and white, or you can print it color. Okay, I'm going to show you a project that I'm working on with that to let you know, but even a little painting like this, that was seen from a photograph. And, you know, I can't make everything plein air, everything out in the landscape. I come back and I make paintings. And the same with this one. This was looking at a photograph. So I could kind of figure out where things went just without a grid. But with the grid, if it's complex, it tells you exactly where it goes. So I'm going to show you the next project. Let's go.